in St. Petersburg. As we know, Putin was put in charge of the foreign relations, and in that capacity he served more a year or so. Later he was picked up by Sobchak as deputy mayor, and his job as deputy mayor was privatization, which was a very lucrative and very area, lots of shadows.
Vladimir Putin's expertise was called upon when banks or foreign companies came to St. Petersburg. The BNP Dresdner Bank and the Crédit Lyonnais here were the first foreign banks to open branches in Russia. During the terrible winter of 1991, St. Petersburg was on the brink of famine. Most of the humanitarian aid came from Germany, and it was Putin who organized it.
Putin uses his network of business friends in Germany to create a system of barter. Creating exportation licenses, he organizes the exchange of oil for food. He has perhaps already realized the importance of energy as a tool for power.
There was a lot of dirty work going on around this so-called barter. The food was simply sold, and the money went straight into the pockets of officials and the people who'd organized the whole thing. It was an extremely critical moment in Putin's career. He considered the economy as a permanently controllable process. He wanted more and more control all the time.
Different scandals mark Putin's term of office as deputy mayor. He works with the port mafia and Spag, a German company accused of cocaine money laundering. He manages the city casinos whose profits disappear into thin air. Gives the oil monopoly of the city to a friend.
But times are difficult, and Putin is not the only person to use organized crime networks. Now he is also in charge of law enforcement. He can do as he pleases. He takes his position of authority very seriously.
Если преступники обнаглели до того, что подняли руку на сотрудника милиции, сотрудники милиции должны реагировать мгновенно и жестко, а может даже жестоко. Только так мы можем подавить вот эту наглый вызов обществу, которое делает преступник. Только так. И на каждого убитого сотрудника 10 должно быть преступников положено. Ну, в рамках закона, конечно.
It was fascinating to observe Vladimir Putin's metamorphosis, to note how quickly he changed from one thing to the other. From a lieutenant colonel used to obeying orders, he transformed himself with great talent into a man fully capable of taking on enormous amounts of responsibilities.
He strategically happened to be in all the right positions, all in the right time. He strategically worked for Sobchak and in fact, doing the KGB work for Sobchak. I actually think it's a sign of brilliance, the fact that he's such a gray matter, not a sign of his mediocrity.
Well established in St. Petersburg, Deputy Mayor Putin chooses ex-KGB officers and young liberals to work at his side. In the meantime, a former member of Sobchak's team, Anatoly Chubais, a brilliant young economist, joins Yeltsin's government in Moscow. As his influence increases, he obtains key jobs for colleagues from St. Petersburg. A few years later, Putin will be the first to benefit. Chubais invents a system of privatization, which makes a clear break with the economic rules of the Soviet regime.
Before the fall of the Soviet Union, promising businessmen had been given state assets to manage. They were the first to benefit from this new system of privatization.
These new businessmen decided that now they're free, they're their own masters. And for a while, they became what we know as oligarchs.
But the oligarchs had forgotten their moral contract to manage the property for the state. They would learn to regret it. In the meantime, they became millionaires overnight. The country is in a turmoil. ordinary Russians quickly understand that they will not be the ones to benefit from the system of privatization. As for members of the political class, their views prefer to differ.
President Yeltsin attempts to modify the constitution and impose his policy of privatization. Russian parliament and the people resist. Yeltsin sends in the tanks. More than 150 people are killed. For the Russians, it's the first step towards the end of their dream for democracy. Observing the events from St. Petersburg, Putin realizes that from now on, in Yeltsin's democracy, the rules are going to be dictated.
When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, democracy was the most popular word. 2 years later, it became a swear word.
They call it democracy, which is shitocracy, if you translate it.
A year later, Yeltsin's tanks move in again, this time in Chechnya. The Chechens are demanding their independence, and they must be prevented from taking control over the Russian pipeline crossing their lands. After a 2-year war and 80,000 victims, Chechnya obtains a peace settlement in its favor. For the Russians, it is a humiliating defeat. For Putin, it is far worse. Yeltsin is guilty of committing a crime against the state. Chechnya is part of Russia. Chechnya should be forced to submit.
In St. Petersburg, Putin organizes Sobchak's re-election campaign as mayor. Yeltsin has portrayed his democratic obligations, and if Sobchak wins these elections, Yeltsin's old ally could become a serious contender for the presidency. At Yeltsin's request, the oligarchs refuse to help Sobchak finance his campaign.
In 1996, Yeltsin organized a manhunt against him. He saw in Sobchak an opponent to be removed from the political stage.
Sobchak loses the elections, and Putin is outraged by the increasing political power of the oligarchs. Declaring his loyalty to his political benefactor, he refuses to work with the new mayor. His future and that of Russia lie in Moscow.
After being a deputy mayor of St. Petersburg and nearly getting himself to jail for his connections with organized crime, he was actually made an official in the presidential administration.
Noting Putin's hard work and loyalty towards Sobchak, Anatoly Chubais finds him a position in the Kremlin State Property Department. The 1996 presidential elections are only a few weeks off, and Yeltsin's fears are justified. He has lost the confidence of the population. The communists are back in force. Their leader, Gennady Zyuganov, is the favorite in the polls.
Without politics, you are not able to protect your capital. Those people, the first in Russia, rich people who realize they need to take political responsibility for the future of the country. Because we already felt that time that reformers, headed by Yeltsin, are not able to stop communists. And it's the reason why we met together to cooperate and to win elections.
From inside the Kremlin, Putin watches the oligarchs transform what seemed an inevitable defeat into victory. Money and television make their stage entrance into Russian politics. Yeltsin names Berezovsky head of state television and finances NTV, the private station belonging to the millionaire Vladimir Gusinsky. Yeltsin becomes a TV czar, and television the major tool for his re-election.